Okay, so welcome to We Are Triathletes webinar series. I am so psyched today to have Angelo Poli, who is the founder of MetPro.co, online with us right now. And he's going to talk about metabolic profiling, how to lose weight for good, how come we can't all lose weight because we're athletes, and more. So without further ado, I am going to put the spotlight on Angelo.
Hilary, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is great. Looking forward to chatting. So I would love to, what we could do is we can go through a few topics today, and then if you have any Q&A, we can do some Q&A. But
Yeah.
where would you like to start?
So, well, first off, I would like you to just tell everybody your background and what got you thinking of starting
Into
MetPro.
this. Okay, that's a loaded question. So I was always fascinated with fitness and in particular the human body's capacity to transform. So I was thrilled when I could see people could really take control of their path by changes to their nutrition, to their training. And what I started to learn over the years was that the area where there was the most confusion came to nutrition. And then as I worked with more and more people, I discovered that even more specific than nutrition, it's really the topic of metabolism. With nutrition, there's healthy, there's unhealthy. And the fitness industry, the medical industry, we seem to have, at least within reason, a pretty good gauge for, which bucket something falls under. What we don't have is a clearly identified indication of metabolically how an eating style or a training style or routine will impact you as a person. And the reason is because everyone's body is different. So a little short synopsis of how I got into this. I was, my very first client was a gal in her 60s. She was an absolute sweetheart. She would meet me at the gym and say, okay, I want to get strong today. I want to get back in shape. I want to get healthy. We went through the whole routine over the course of a number of months. She got in the best shape of her life. She lost 50, 60 pounds. Actually, she ended up marrying her high school sweetheart, which was just an absolute fairy tale dream. So I was hooked. And so I thought, oh, this is great. This is what I'm going to do with my life as a career. She says to me, would you work with my friend? My friend's younger than I am, a little healthier than I am. She'll do real well, no problem. So started working with her friend and went through the exact same nutrition strategy, exact same training. She lost 5 pounds. Can you believe it? And that just, my brain just lit on fire. So then I just started researching and studying and anything I could get my hands on. And I had to know, how is this possible? And so that's really how this came to be. My years of being a personal trainer, I really focused on helping people transform their physiques by identifying where a person is now so we can help them strategically transform. Because as everybody will attest, what works for you doesn't necessarily work for the next person. And so that's what metabolic profiling is all about. And so now we've been working with executives, we've been working with pro athletes, we've been working with grandparents, we've been working with everyday people who have a passion for knowledge to learn more of the intricacies of how their body really works to take it to the next level. And our coaches, our team love it.
So my question to you is, you see these amazing bodies that are transformed, right, with a incredible muscle.
Yep.
Can everybody achieve that?
Can everybody achieve that? No, not everybody can achieve that, but everybody can march towards it. Everybody can march towards it. In fact, it's funny you say that because I just had a conversation the other day with a gal who's an absolute sweetheart, and she asked me, here is the physique, here's the body I had in my 20s. I'm in a very different spot in life now. I'm in my late 40s. I'm almost 50. I want to be healthy. I want to have a lean, athletic body, and I want to feel my best. She said, I don't need to have the chiseled physique or the body weight when I was 22, but what I want is I want to be in the best health that I can be at 48. Our client, she's in her 70s. She just ran her first half marathon. Everybody on the team was just cheering for her. It was just, that's the sort of thing we love. Now, that said, you would be amazed at just how far someone can come with the right science and with the right strategy. And please stay away from the gimmicks. It's so easy to go down that, I can lose 10 really fast if I just do this extreme thing, or if I just do that. What I'm interested in is what's real, what's sustainable for a person. If it's sustainable in the long run, now we're talking. I would rather take off 1 or 2 pounds and it stay off than 10 pounds knowing full well that in 90 days, you're going to gain 12 back. So that's where the science piece comes in.
So tell us, a lot of the people who are going to be listening to this webinar are either runners or endurance runners or triathletes or Ironmen. What's the biggest obstacle that we face as athletes?
I get asked that all the time. And the biggest obstacle that you face is the same obstacle that everybody faces, athletes and non-athletes alike: time management. Always boils down to time management. You have to have a strategy in place, and then you have to know how to execute. And it all boils down to hours in the day. I go on these like executive retreats. They'll have me as a speaker. Well, I'll get people that'll ask me, Angelo, I know who you are. I know about your company, MetPro. I've seen the athletes you've worked with. Tell me, what's the secret? What machine do you have them use in the gym? Or what's the special food you want them eating? You're asking the wrong questions. The secret is really time management. So what I'll usually do, the first thing I'll say is, raise your hand in the room if you have tried losing weight, gaining weight, improving your performance. You have a routine for fitness. Probably 2/3 of the room will raise their hand. And I'll say, perfect. Raise your hand now if you can tell me what you're eating for lunch tomorrow. It's crickets in the room. Nobody knows. So that's the secret, is having certain elements of your day strategically planned. And oh, by the way, you'd be surprised what our coaches will recommend as far as which meals you want to prepare in advance, which meals you really don't have to, and how to go about that in the most time managed way. So time management is the most important piece of the puzzle when it comes to an athlete or anyone wanting to take their physique, their performance, their health to the next level. Now, the second is a little bit bigger can of worms. That's the strategy. I don't know if I'm allowed to dive into that, but I have 5 points on the strategy. So you tell me if you want to hit me up with any other questions before I dive into that, but I'd love to be able to share the strategy piece.
Go for it.
Okay. So when our coaches first meet someone, some people can feel a little uncomfortable because we ask so many questions about you and your lifestyle and your day. It's like, well, does me having kids and my work schedule really affect my results? I mean, I thought you were going to help me with food and exercise. Oh yeah, it absolutely affects your results. You have to, because we have to fit all these pieces into your routine, and that needs to be sustainable in the long run. So one of the very first things that our coaches are going to want to find out about you is your goal and body type. So those are actually two things, but they're very tightly intertwined. So a lot of people are familiar with different body types. You have your ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorphic body type. Now, don't think in terms of pure one or the other. It's I am this and nothing else. Think of it as more of a spectrum, okay? So you have ectomorph on this end and endomorph, the stockier, stronger build, more petite build on this side. Your genetics are going to dictate kind of where on the spectrum you land. So if we know your body type, we know essentially a expression of your genetic predisposition. So that tips us off as to how your body is likely to respond to specific training modality, to specific dietary tactics, etc. It's one strong data point. So the first thing we want to know is your body type and goal. That's going to dictate our steps for everything else. The next thing we need to know is tied into your goal. So if you say that your goal is performance, well, that's a little bit more of a linear path. We know clearly what you want to improve. Right now, you're running your marathon and you're hitting this time, and you want that time to be less, or whatever your sport is. But if you should say, I want my primary goal is body composition or reduced body weight, I only bring that up because that's the thing that seems to elude a lot of people who call us. Then we have to identify whether or not you are a behavioral or strategic or a metabolic individual. So what that means is we have two basic categories. People who are behavioral, and oh, by the way, this is me and most people on the planet, so it's not a negative connotation. If you're behavioral, that means that you likely have a lot of responsibility, you're busy, you're on the go, you have deadlines, and you have a busy lifestyle that's just hard to fit all the pieces into for good nutrition and or training to move the dial forward. Again, that's probably 80% of who we work with. If you are metabolic, you're someone who is, okay, I've tried every diet in the book, I've been on every program, I'm doing everything the experts say is quote unquote right, yet my body's not budging, I'm not losing any weight. We have to identify which category you fall into because your entire strategy is going to be literally 180 different. If you are a behavioral, a strategic client, person, we have to focus on the lifestyle habits, the time management, the life hacks, the tips, the tricks, and the way to fit strategy into your life in a way that won't undermine your lifestyle. If you're metabolic, that means that you're not doing anything wrong. Your metabolism is just at a point where it said, I'm used to where I'm at. I'm not going to change anymore. We have to take two totally different paths. So once we identify that, then we can start to piece together the exact action steps you will need in order to see your body progress towards your goal, be it weight loss, performance, etc. Then that dovetails, I just got two more, then that dovetails into baseline testing. So the question that everyone asks is, does my past dieting experience, programs I've done in the past, impact my outcomes now? And the answer is a resounding yes. Here's how the body works. Your metabolism has a job, and that is principally to keep you in homeostasis. So what that means is it's like a carburetor that's constantly adjusting to recreate stasis. Your body, we can't survive in a state of constant fluctuations of gaining or losing massive amounts of weight. So what your metabolism does is it adjusts to match your environment. So if you eat more, your metabolic rate increases. Now, it doesn't do it overnight, but it will start to increase to eventually create homeostasis. We know that because if it didn't, we would just keep gaining and gaining and gaining, and we would literally die from gaining so much. But we don't. The metabolic rate acclimates. Now, when you decrease your intake, the metabolic rate has to slowly acclimate to match that new lower intake. Otherwise, we die. So it's a survival mechanic. So it keeps that homeostasis. So what we do at MetPro, the first thing our coaches are going to do when they talk with someone is they're going to establish a baseline. They're going to talk to the person, get to know their lifestyle, their habits. They're going to say, okay, here's what I want you to do. For just a few days, you're going to eat this, 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 and this. And it may seem odd, but there's definitely a method to their madness. What they're doing is they're calculating out, okay, I'm going to put you on a basic meal plan that's sustainable for at least a few days, where I know how many calories you're getting. I know what the macronutrient breakdown is. I know the glycemic load. I know the meal frequency. I know all the variables. Then I can compare how you as an individual respond to that baseline. And you would be amazed, Hilary, you'd be amazed at what we get back. We've done this thousands and thousands of times, and we'll have two people on the same baseline, basically parsing or testing baseline meal plan. And we'll have some people who will come back in the first week, they lost 6 pounds. It was nothing. Other people come back, they gained 2 pounds. That's the scope, the breadth of variation between individual metabolic rates. And so if there's no way of functionally real world testing where a person is starting at, you have to be able to put a pin in the map before you take the journey if you really want to know where you're going, right? You have to know where you're starting. So by establishing that, we can now strategically, justifiably map out, here's what I want you to do with your nutrition, here's what I want you to do with your training, here's how long we expect this to produce results, and as soon as your body plateaus and levels off, here's exactly what we're going to change next. And that's how we build a strategy. So if somebody comes to us and says, okay, here's what I'm eating, I'm doing the drive-through at lunch, I'm doing a bag of chips for snack, and the pizza and beer at dinner. Well, probably the issue is not that your metabolic rate is in the tank, right? So at least we know we have some leverage. But then for the person who comes up to us and says, well, I've been doing this very specific, very, very low carb diet, or I've been doing some form of cyclical fasting, or I've been doing the weight loss shakes, and my body is no longer losing weight. That means you're already used to consuming very, very little. And if your body's not giving any more, then we cannot assume that we can lose weight or get a desired result out of continuing to do the same thing. We actually have to reset your metabolism first. So I tell everyone, ask me, well, you're going to put me on, a diet or a meal plan, and exactly what am I going to get? Well, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get the truth. Now, it might be good news. It might be bad news. What you're going to get is accurate news. And that's what we focus on at MetPro, is identifying where your accurate metabolic truth, metabolic reality is today. So we don't waste time with strategies or techniques that won't prove useful for you personally. So that's where baseline testing and knowing your nutritional history, your training history, all comes into play when laying out a strategic roadmap to transforming your body. And then the last piece, we won't go into detail, but your psychology, who you are as a person, your motivations absolutely play a role into that. Our coaches are going to treat and interact with our clients who are getting paid millions of dollars to play on the football field, right? A little different than the grandparents who want to have extra energy to spend time with the kids on the weekend. And there's no right or wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just understanding our motivations and our audience. So psychology is a piece of it. But identifying a strategy, optimizing how you execute your time management, and then assessing and reassessing to make sure that it's working. Those are the key elements when it comes to transforming your body, your health, your fitness, your physique, your performance, the whole nine yards.
Awesome. So, question. I know
Yes,
you said you work with all different types of people, professional athletes to grandparents, right?
that's it.
Um, how do you incorporate exercise? And also, I'd love you to address how you work with people who travel a lot, because when you're traveling a lot, you're eating out all the time. How do you stay on this particular diet or lifestyle, as you will?
I'm glad that you brought that up. Most people have in their mind that getting in shape, following a diet, fitness is a decision you make. It is not. It's not. I mean, it's kind of silly. I mean, who would say, if you given the choice, you want to be healthy or not healthy? Of course, I want to be healthy. Of course, it's not a decision. It's a skill. It's a skill that most of us are not very good at. I mean, I don't remember, high school or college having meal prep, time management, and lifestyle fitness 101. That wasn't there. Someone says, well, I think as a career path, I'm going to become a doctor. That's not a choice. It's they make the choice, but then they have to go and study for years and years and years. That's why I encourage, and I am such a believer in working with a coach that is an expert in this. So it is very difficult to, on the go, fit a healthy lifestyle into your daily routine. But that's exactly what we do. Our MetPro coaches teach people the skill of precisely that. For example, if you're busy but not necessarily on the road, you might be surprised to find out that our coaches are going to tell you, don't prepare breakfast in advance. We have a different assignment for you there. You might be surprised to hear exactly which meals we're going to have you prepare in advance, which meals you can actually get on the go, you can eat out, which meals, which macronutrients you want to cook in bulk, how you're going to travel with those foods, and how we're going to make it fit into your routine. In fact, it was an honor. I got featured in the Wall Street Journal with my work with a particular executive. This is going a few years back. He had a very demanding job. Literally, I'm not exaggerating, literally on a plane, on the road, traveling 28 days out of the month. He was lucky if he was home 1 or 2 days a month. Yet we were able to take 30 pounds off of him. Blood pressure improved, saw all kinds of fitness markers improve. And we had a strategy that used, what we used for him? Starbucks. We used Starbucks. Now, I'm not saying that's the end all be all strategy, but in his case, we needed something reliable that would always be at an airport, no matter where he was at. So we went through and we picked out the exact ingredients and items and options they would have at a Starbucks to piece together some semblance of a routine. And then there was certain items where he had a go bag and he would prepare and bring with him certain things that he could travel with. And then we had a principled strategy for lunches and dinners, regardless of where he was eating out. So the answer is, you absolutely can do it if you have a little bit of help crafting a custom strategy based on your lifestyle. Now, the exercise piece. I love, anybody who's worked with me knows that I just love the term micro workouts. I'm a big believer in micro workouts. So a lot of people have in their mind that if I don't have, an hour and a half to go to the gym, do a full workout, shower, clean up, an hour and a half, 2 hours out of my day, don't even bother. That's not true. That's not true. You can raise your metabolic rate. You can force adaptive response, especially if we're being a little bit more of a specialist than a generalist, with very simple activities you can do, even at-home activities. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of our clients, we do encourage, hey, let's get a gym membership. Let's get into a regular routine if you don't already have. But for when you're on the road, or if you don't have access, We have lots of options for those people. The key is, if you're going to invest some of your time, invest it in the most productive activity possible. It's very simple if you have a specific goal like marathon running. Well, you know where most of your time is going to go, but there's a little bit more to it than that. So I'll kind of bullet this because I know I'm throwing a lot at you today, but there are 6 basic categories that I like to use for exercise. So you have endurance training, you have interval training, and you have cardio circuit training. Now, if I were to draw a line down the middle, and this side is endurance activities, and this side is hypertrophic or muscular development, right down the middle would be that line: endurance training, interval training, cardio circuits. Then just on the other side of that line would be circuit training. Then there would be cross training, and then there'd be pure strength training. Now, each of these are fairly broad categories, but based on your body type and goal, what we can do is we can really come up with a smart, statistically productive hierarchy of where you should be investing your time. So somebody says, well, I have 4 hours a week that I can invest in fitness training. Well, I look at that as a pie graph. So 4 hours a week, here's what that's going to look like. You have this body type, you have this goal, and based on how your body has been responding, we're going to go ahead and we're going to spend 65, 70% of your time in this training modality because of the physiological adaptations that training modality is going to promote. Then we're going to spend just 10 or 15% of your time in this. And if we have a little left over, we'll do this. And that doesn't mean, oh, here you go the rest of your life. That means we're going to do this until we hit very clear objectives. I want you at this body composition. I want to see you hit this weight marker. And then we're going to readjust both your nutrition and that training hierarchy. And that's how the investment of your time goes back into productive activities that therefore go into getting you results, progress. And one of my coaches, one of my dear friends says, progress is the greatest human motivator. And I know he took it from, that's a saying that's been around for a long time, but so applicable in this case. When you see yourself progressing, when you see your body changing, when you see your performance getting better, it just gives you that extra, that second wind to keep going. And yeah, I can prepare my snacks in advance. Yeah, I can get one more day at the gym or set my alarm clock just a couple minutes early to do my home exercises or whatever the case may be. When you start seeing that progress, it really motivates you to take you to the next level.
Absolutely. This has been incredible. You always offer so much great information. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we end?
I love I would love to leave your listeners with just, a few life hacks, because most people say, okay, Angelo, this is great information. If I want to learn more, how do I get started? B, if I don't want to get started, give me just 1 or 2 things I can do on my own tomorrow. So first of all, if you would welcome someone into your life that's going to get to know you and give you an education on really where your body's at, how your metabolism is functioning, and will help you literally bite for bite go through the process of a transformation. Consider talking with one of our coaches. Even if you're just curious about it, talk with one of our coaches. They would love to get to know you. You can go to metpro.co, get all kinds of information on it, and just schedule a consult to visit. That's all, if you're not at that point, but you're at the point where you want to I want to do 1 or 2 things. Here's what I can tell you. I want you to add an afternoon snack. And that seems odd, right? Here's the catch. I want you to prepare a healthy afternoon snack, it could be something as simple as fruit and nuts or something similar to that. I want you to prepare it first thing in the morning. If you'll add an afternoon snack and you'll prepare it first thing in the morning, I promise you that will be one of the most disruptive things you can do. And here's why. Because if you're willing to prepare it in the morning, then odds are you're going to eat a healthy breakfast as well. Because you're already there, you're in the kitchen, you're preparing, you're putting a little baggie, the nuts, the fruit, whatever you come up with, you can set a little bit aside and have a healthy breakfast. And if you eat breakfast, then odds are you're going to have better appetite control in the morning and make it to lunch and eat a clean lunch. And you're not going to be worried about, I got to scarf down things that I probably shouldn't be eating, because you've promised me. I promised Angelo I was going to eat this afternoon snack. So now we got breakfast taken care of. Lunch happens because nobody misses lunch. And then we have an afternoon snack coming because you promised me. And if you eat that afternoon snack, guess what's going to happen? At dinner, you're going to all of a sudden have this willpower. You can say, where'd that come from? Where'd I get this willpower? Well, explain where you got it. You got it from stable blood sugar because you had breakfast, lunch, snack, balanced. Now when we get to dinner, you're not ravenous and starving. Because everybody says to me, Angelo, I do so good during the day. It's not a problem. My problem is as soon as the sun sets, I turn into, this monster because I just got to attack the refrigerator. That's a classic sign of that blood sugar not being stable and creating just ravenous appetite. So if you have that afternoon snack, it's going to really help you control your evening behaviors. It'll be so much easier to eat clean in the evenings. And the time you'll save, just make that simple snack in the morning. The time you'll save in the middle of your day. I have executives, I have entrepreneurs, I have people who are so busy, and they'll give me an hour at the gym in the morning. Yet if I say, hey, Johnny, I just want you to literally put your hands on the desk, push away from the computer for 5 minutes in the afternoon and eat a healthy snack. That's like, oh, it's so hard for them to do. But once they start doing it, they go, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? This makes such a big difference. So if you do just one thing, prepare an afternoon snack. And if you can do two things, prepare a go bag. If you prepare a go bag when you need it, you miss the point. The idea is you have it prepared in advance for the unexpected circumstance. All of a sudden, the boss calls, your deadline, the kids have to be picked up, whatever the case may be. You don't have to go to the kitchen and put together a snack. Put a few snacks into a little go bag that just stay there, or even stay in the car. And then when you need it, it's there. You have something handy. You don't have to run out and grab something that you didn't intend to. The trick with making go bags effective is they have to be low perishable foodstuffs. So you can't put cottage cheese and berries in a go bag. It doesn't work. Trust me on that one. What you can do is you can put things like jerky and rice cakes and raisins, things like that. They do perish, but they're very low perishable. So you can leave them in a go bag. You can literally leave that stuff in the glove box of your car for a few days and it's going to be just fine. So put together a go bag. I like to use those like Justin's peanut butter or almond butter packets. I like to use the rice cakes. I like to use some turkey jerky, and then I like to use nuts and raisins. I throw those all into a go bag, and I'll keep it in the back seat of my car. And when it inevitably comes up, I'm running short of time, I can just go grab some of that, and I don't have to worry about eating somewhere that I had not intended.
Love it. That's awesome. What great tips. Really great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Hilary.
So if you want more information about metpro.co, call them. You could look on the internet. It's MetPro, metpro.co, and just tell them that Hilary sent you or Hilary Topper sent you, and they'll definitely be able to help you out. Even if you want a conversation with them, call them up, see what kind of metabolic rate you have, and You'll take it from there. So again, just tell them that Hilary Topper sent you, and that's MetPro, METPRO.co. And thanks again, Angelo, and thank you all for tuning in, and have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Hilary.